true sci-fi classic is about to get a sequel, hopefully. Welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So The Last Starfighter is one of those properly classic sci-fi movies. It was actually really clever in the way it was made. It was one of the earliest movies, along with maybe Tron, to use real life sort of CGI within the movie. It actually had a really good and interesting plot and characters. It was a really memorable movie, and they've been trying to get a sequel or a reboot for decades. But actually it finally looks like it's going to happen, and most beautifully and most happily of all, it will not be a reboot but a proper sequel. So what do we know so far? Well, this actually isn't new news, but I do have a source that has been able to add a little bit of information to what is already out there. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. But what do we know actually at the moment? Gary Whitta is the screenwriter that is putting together the script for the sequel, and he has said in a couple of interviews in the last month or so that they are very close, that they are in the final 1 yard dash of actually getting this green lit. I'll tell you a bit more about what I now know that to mean in a couple of minutes, but the thing that's really interesting about this is Jonathan Betuel, who wrote the actual original script, has done a little bit of work with Gary on this, and they've actually created this little short video that they released on YouTube. Now, that video shows little bits of artwork and concept art from their planned script. One of the most interesting things about that little video they put together is that the Gunstar actually looks virtually the same as the original Gunstar. It's almost identical. I really like that, and I really think that that's important for a sequel like this when you've got such an iconic ship as the Gunstar, to have it the same and not to remodernize it and, let's be honest, ruin it. If you do like the content, by the way, guys, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Consider sharing the video wherever the hell you like and hitting that like. Don't hit the down. That doesn't help anybody. Also, consider becoming a fully fledged SciTrek and hitting the join button. All these little things, they really help me to keep the channel going in, and then those few little pennies that basically means the wife will let me keep doing it. He's not the only person from the original project actually to be talking about this though. Nick Castle, in an interview from April, actually said he's been hearing some really promising whispers about the sequel, and that it actually is got a really good chance of getting made. When people like Gary Whitta start talking about the new project and trying to get it off the ground, I listen, I'm interested. But when people from the original project start saying that they think this is actually going to happen, then my ears do prick, and I do start having a proper listen, because this does feel like this is something that's about to get announced. And if this really does get made and Universal does push forward with this project, we might get to see The Last Starfighters on the silver screen. But why is this a movie I want to see? Well, The Last Starfighter from 1984 was one of those classic sci-fi movies where the special effects were jaw-dropping back in the day. Remembering what computer games were like at the time, this was just phenomenal. It actually had a really interesting, not overly complicated, but interesting story. I liked characters like the Beta character and how they did that. This android that took Alex's place back on Earth while he was off training to become the last Starfighter. I like those little bits of information like that. I love the Centauri character. That cheeky conman sort of character that was just really interesting, and I love how he'd put the training simulator, this arcade game, on Earth and actually then got in trouble for it. The whole movie was really full of fascinating characters. I have to admit the Exor bad guy was a bit ridiculous with his thing with it and all that stuff, but I thought that was a bit much. Never really thought he was scary. I did think the Cordon Empire were really the villains in that series, but they had to have a Rylan inside, I suppose, to make the whole plot about the last Starfighter and the destruction of the other Gunstars make sense. But the main reason why I want to see this film get made is the Gunstar itself. Every so often in sci-fi, you get designs for ships that you just look at it and just go, that could work, that look real. And I think that realism draws you into the fantasy even more, because you think, this, my God, this could happen. This could be real. And that just adds that little bit of realism to it. I think there's a similar thing with Stargate compared to Star Trek, that Star Trek is fantasy. Stargate, definitely in SG-1, etc., could be real. There could be a gate under Cheyenne Mountain, and that makes it more exciting for some reason. And The Last Starfighter has the same sort of thing going on for it. The Gunstar with its engines is a very different sort of design. Those things at the front pointed outwards are actual thrusters that mean it can stop suddenly. They're just as big as a thruster as the propeller. That is realistic in space, that actually to actually make a spacecraft go forwards, you actually don't need that much momentum. Once it's going to a certain speed, it'll just keep flying at that speed forever. But the thing is, you need equal force to then stop it. So actually your engines facing forwards should be as big as your engines facing backwards, but you never see that in sci-fi. It also had lots and lots of thrusters that mean it could spin and do all sorts. Yeah, when it does the Death Blossom maneuver, which again, I just freaking loved. The ship design with a gunner and a pilot, again, makes sense from a fighting point of view. Especially when you're considering shooting at a three-dimensional sphere of influence, that the gunner would actually be just as important as the pilot. So that is the main reason why I want to see this film get made, because I want to see the Gunstar fly again. But where were we at the end of the movie, and what does it mean potentially for a sequel? Which actually, Gary Whitta has said on more than one occasion, this film will be a sequel, not a reboot. A reboot has been considered in the past, but isn't going to happen for the moment. Well, Alex and Maggie, at the end of the original movie, did go off back into space. Maybe they're now higher up generals within the Ryan Star League or something along that nature. You know, we could actually see them being a mentor for the new batch of starfighters. I should say that in the little teaser reel that we've seen, it looks like that there are going to be 6 starfighters in this one. They are not going to be, the Last Starfighters is going to be a small group of about 6 of them. How much you want to bet they make them young cadets again? It's going to happen, isn't it? But it would be interesting to have Alex in some sort of role along that as a mentor or something like that. Maybe coming back as a Centauri type character. So, what do you do when you are editing a video and you suddenly realise that you forgot to give the lovely viewers the bit of information you'd be given? The whole reason for doing the video in the first place. You get your phone, you go upstairs and you do the video as an additional and hope that no one notices. So, the bit of information about The Last Starfighter that I've been told. So, I have sources that work in and around this industry. They have feed me bits of information from here and there. And the one person I've spoken to has said they work within a field working 3D modelers. He's not actually a 3D modeler himself, but he works within a company that does. And they have recently done 3D modeling work on The Last Starfighter. So they have actually done a 3D model, a CGI version of the Gunstar. Now, they say that that is quite an expensive thing to do. It is in the tens of thousands of dollars. So he believes this would not be done unless the Gunstar was about to appear in a major project, hopefully a motion picture. And this is one more sign that this is actually pretty close to getting greenlit. Now, all I have to do is actually make sure to remember to actually add this bit of information to the video instead of getting overly excited and just talk about the Gunstar for 10 minutes because it's my favourite sci-fi ship, or definitely up there in the top 5. What an idiot. But there we go. One more piece of information that just leads me genuinely to believe this is a project that might get greenlit very soon. So please, guys, get into the comments. Tell me exactly what you think. Is this a project that you're excited to see? Do you want to see the Gunstar fly again? If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe and hit the bell notification. It really helps us out. Also, if you've enjoyed the content, consider hitting the join button and becoming a fully fledged sci-trekker. As always, please stay safe. I'll see you next time.
Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sur and the Kodan Armada. Get ready.